Man, I just finished reading Stephen King's It this week.
Mm-hmm.
That book is nuts.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it would be like to have a creature hunting you like that.
Yeah, I mean, especially one that's based like off of your fears. Would just be absolutely terrifying.
What's your biggest fear?
Okay, don't laugh, but when I was a kid, especially, it was bugs. Like, specifically just mounts of legs and like wings. It just absolutely was terrifying to me. And just like, especially like the kind of swarming creatures, like those mandibles are really creepy, especially like that kind of thing just really makes me uncomfortable. But you know, like once I got older, it just was something I felt was irrational and just kind of got over it, really.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, as long as I can remember, I've been afraid of skeletons, but there was this incident at the zoo when I was a kid. Now, panda skeletons are my biggest fear.
Specifically panda skeletons. I mean, it's kind of bizarre, I guess. It's...
I mean, I was 5 at the time. You know, I'm 25 now. I can let that kind of stuff go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's kind of irrational. Like when you're a kid, like you have those weird sort of fears that you don't really like. Things like insects. They're small little creepy crawlies, but you can handle those. And skeletons they're pretty manageable.
Yeah. Everybody's got that one fear though, even when they're an adult.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like I still have that one that's been haunting me for like well over a decade now.
Well, what is it?
Well, I mean, if you've got one, we should probably just share it at the same time. So let's try this. Let's do it on 3.
Okay.
Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3.
George Walker Bush?
Strategery! Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Pleasantries. With me today is Kenny. You may know him as a guy that got Doritos thrown at his face. Or you may not know him at all because no one watches my videos. And this is Clint. You may not know him from Reality in a very small cameo role. The movie hasn't come out yet, and it won't for a little while. So
Looking forward to it.
you don't know who he is either. We saw it. It was pretty good. What did you guys think about it?
What did we see?
What do you think about it?
What?
What's not to understand? Fuck. What's it about?
Clint just read the book, so he's probably the best person.
That's what
to
I've
ask
heard.
about it.
It's split between 2 different time periods. There's a group of 7 kids from the town of Derry, Maine. There are a series of killings that are all connected. All have an encounter with this creature, which they call It. And this creature preys on your deepest fears, and it kills.
What is it?
It is a creature that it's actually an alien landed in an asteroid in Derry, and the town built around it.
What's the motive? Why does it want to do this?
It realized that by preying on humankind's fears, that it could make the meat sweeter.
Specifically kids.
If it's every 30 years, 27 years, is that how long it takes for it to digest the previous fear?
It's like a hibernation, essentially.
It's just a scary thing.
It exists to feed.
It's like a fear bear. Not like hibernates.
As opposed to a Care Bear.
Get the fuck out of this review. You should make the comparison. How well does the miniseries follow the book versus how well does the movie? The miniseries, first off, puts Bill with the ponytail.
Bill Denborough has a fucking ponytail.
First
What
off,
does it say in the book? And Bill with no ponytail.
1,552 freaking pages, crucial detail. Bill does not have a ponytail. Certain fears existed in the miniseries, Stan sees a mummy. Richie is actually chased by a werewolf.
The werewolf probably would have looked stupid.
Makes sense in the miniseries too, because I think in the 90s, if things were a bit hokier, it worked. But I think that it would not have translated well here.
The original movie feels like a Goosebumps episode or Are You Afraid of the Dark?
All that really quiet dialogue where it's oh hey, we're gonna now they use the music a lot more effectively.
The music was really good. I was actually paying attention to that a few times.
There were a lot of good moments where it really matched kind of the tone you felt reading the book.
A lot of the scary points come from cinematic things. Like the scene where they're all watching the projector, it seems weird that the book would say something like, and then all the lights turned off, and when they turned back on, the clown was bigger.
That scene wasn't in the book.
Okay.
That was a way that that was how they all encountered Pennywise together for the first time.
They had him in an old, like, 1500s photo in the Pudgy Kids room that I thought was going to do something. They were all going to be like, he's in this. But we knew he was in it, and that was it.
Yeah.
Is that in the book? Is it like, does he say, like, the clown's in the picture, but they don't know? Music
So
Man.
the music guy is Benjamin Wallfish.
Good job.
You said like Hans Zimmer. He's actually like a part of Hans Zimmer's music like company, which is called something.
Zimmer.
It's called Remote Control Productions.
That's what I said.
That's exactly what he said, in fact. But
Rewind, you'll see.
Remote Control Productions.
So I went in to the movie thinking it wasn't going to be good. The first It movie has like Tim Curry, like big name, and then this guy in this one, I hadn't heard of him or known anything he'd been in or anything, and so I was like, oh, this is stupid. Like, why are they remaking the movie? And now it's just got this stupid guy. This is gonna be bad. And then watching this, the movie isn't really about like who the clown is. I feel like Tim Curry would have taken me out of the fact that this is just like a weird monster that looks like whatever it wants to. Like, I feel like looking like Tim Curry today. The movie was much more about, like, the kids' character moments and scary things.
It's about the kids. It's about the kids coming through this experience and then coming back together and getting through it again as adults. It is a plot device.
Overall, it had a very Stranger Things-y feel. I think a lot of people are going to say that. The first, like, half of the movie, I thought, like, this is kind of dumb because originals, it's supposed to be, like, the past is in the 50s. Bringing it to the 80s makes it so where it's our 30 years ago, but it makes it a lot. I feel like a lot of people are going to say that this is, it's just Stranger Things. By the end of the movie, I felt like, that was a good choice to do that same kind of just nostalgic, like, we're riding bikes everywhere and puberty and that kind of stuff.
The New Kids on the Block.
Once I started knowing the characters and getting invested in them and thinking like, oh, this is a good movie? ? That's weird. I didn't expect that. Then I started to like, okay, I actually care.
Yeah, that was one thing that I thought was strong about this, is it isn't just like a horror movie. It had a lot of really strong moments of comedy.
There was a couple of times where I thought it was too funny. They're just making a lot of jokes. I guess it's good that you go up so that when it gets scary, you're like, fuck, but I don't know, maybe a little bit too funny. 80s set preteen girl characters, for some reason I've noticed, are always like, they're way smarter and more mature and physically and emotionally than all the boy characters. Maybe that's how it really is in real life, but like, I feel like when I was in 6th grade or whatever, all the guys are assholes, all the girls are assholes. There's no like, oh, there goes Janie, she's the one girl that talks to all the uncool kids. Like, there's always that character. Yeah. Is that a real thing?
I think that probably the best thing they nailed about the cast was very quickly they were able to establish the 7 distinct characters. For the first probably 200 pages, it's kind of hard to separate them distinctly, and the miniseries is the same way. But in this, they establish each with their own personality very quickly, so that as they're adding in that 5th and 6th and 7th members, it already feels like a cohesive group.
I think the black kid was the only kid that should have gotten more development before he became part of the group, because we have like one scene with him and then we don't see him again until he's being tortured by the bullies, and then he becomes part of the group.
He's scared of this giant bird in the books instead of the fire.
Is there a giant bird in the miniseries version?
No, I think just the egg has that little bird in it.
Just the egg with the little bird in it. I didn't know that the book was split like that, where there's another half where they're adults. When the movie ended and it was like, It Chapter 1, and I went like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you already are pompous enough to expect that this will get a sequel.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is that was only half of the source material. A lot of the uses of the practical like effects, like with Patrick down in the sewers, when he was shining the lights. Patrick, we're coming for you. It was really good. The leper especially, like doing like the face dripping. And
they described that really vividly in the book, and they did a great job.
So its powers, it can make you like see things. Really anything happen that it wants to, as far as I can tell. I wish that I knew the rules better, I guess. Adam Driver looking kid that goes into the sewer, I was like, oh, so that's what the clown's doing to the kids. Like, it turns them into these weird zombies. But then later, of course, you see they're all just floating in the sky. So that was just something he saw.
Well, it manifested itself as those like zombies.
So that's what it changed itself into.
Yeah. So
why does it change into the clown in front of kids that aren't afraid of clowns?
It's kind of a general fear. It's a form that over the centuries that it has been
Figured
operating,
out, like-
it figured out that people are fucking scared of clowns.
That's something I've never understood, though. Clowns are weird looking, and it's bothersome.
the other thing about the being it is that it's this
What? Keep
Did you
talking.
drink my drink?
A little bit.
You heathen! The true form of it is known as these things called the deadlights, which are just these like floating bright orbs.
The brainiac lights that were in its throat.
It had these minor details to the book that it just wasn't necessary to the plot, but was still a nice tie-in.
The town is like 6 times more likely to have people go missing, and that's just the adults. But you don't ever see him taking adults.
Derry is sort of a fictional hub of many of Stephen King's works.
Oh, now that makes me worried that they're gonna make a Stephen King-averse, like, cinematic universe. Oh, Cujo, he lives in a little barn in Derry. Since I hadn't read the book or seen anything prior to this, I was just going into it with virginity. A few things that I thought were gonna go a different way that I think might have been cooler to go that way, but I'm not Stephen King, so I can't say. One of them was the mom of the hypochondriac kid. When he decides, like, fuck you, mom, I'm gonna go with my friends. She's like super like, no, don't go. And I guess that's just because she's just a bitch. But I thought it was gonna be that, like, she had encountered the It clown the 27 years prior or something, but it didn't turn out to be anything.
I think that would have been pretty like hokey actually to be like to have another survivor.
How is this the first group of kids that
Well,
figured it out?
These are the first ones that have actually like banded together.
Yeah, how? Throughout history, before 1980, whatever, that there should have been some group of people that, like, there's a fucking clown killing everybody.
Hinted at, never explicitly stated in the books, that this other force is what drives these kids to come together.
Like a balance, it needs to balance out or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's done enough.
Once you leave Derry, like the memories of it go away.
They have a scene for each kid of what their fear is or whatever, except for Stranger Things kid, until they're all gathered and discussing, like, yeah, I saw it doing this. And they're like, what are you afraid of? And he like looks back and there's like a circus thing. And I thought that was gonna be that it has been disguising itself as Richie to like be among them, and then at some point he was gonna like just rapidly kill all of them, because like Richie was the only one we didn't see what his fear was. Not knowing anything about this, that was what I was developing in my head, like, oh, he's gonna be the kid, and then it's just not, which is fine. Like, I didn't, if it was, again, that probably would have been kind of dumb, but
I think that would have been ultra dumb. I think I probably would have just walked out of the theater.
that's okay, whatever. I think the most disturbing part of the movie actually was the girl's father.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh god, like, please don't do what you're about to do.
The characters that you're most afraid of are the people that are just affected by its influence.
Yeah.
The father, Henry Bowers.
I forgot all about Mason Bowers' character in this movie.
One thing that was in the movie but was not in the miniseries that was extremely important was the house on Nebold Street.
The whole time I was thinking, like, why does the town leave that house there?
Because it just kind of makes
I
them
guess.
ignore
It's
it.
like a perception filter, like
Yeah.
Doctor Who style like stuff.
I don't know what that means. I've heard there's a scene in the book where the girl has to fuck all the boys.
Yes, that
That's
is
a
right
thing.
at the end. After they defeat it as kids, they are leaving and they get lost. This act is to bring them all together again, and it's her being like, I know what we can do.
So they just cut that out because that would have been
because
weird
how
as shit.
would you put that in a
Why
movie?
would you do that? Yeah. Stephen King they defeated a monster, and I can't have a happy ending. It's gotta be weird. Since the movie was following the book pretty well, and you had just read the book,
That I knew there was
fear that was
no,
gonna happen?
there was no way that
There wasn't any moment that actually made my like heart skip. There were definitely a lot of
Yeah.
The Jewish kid's going through the room and he puts the thing back up and there's no lady, and then you hear flute music as the camera was turning. The sound was going like to the corner of the room, and I was like, that's a weird choice. And then the lady just puts her flute down.
Yeah.
I liked when Mason Bowers kills his dad.
It's
children's
Henry
show.
Bowers.
It's Henry
I
Bowers.
don't care.
He's referencing an old friend.
Like, I'm actually pissing off Clint.
It just drives me nuts.
What are you talking about?
The
Things like he isn't
baritone
just
scene is good.
the baritone scene is fantastic.
What the fuck? It had to be a baritone.
Hit a little
too.
too close to home for a few of us.
Yeah. Oh, you.
Oh, hello! I'd give that an 8.5 nopes out of 10 nopes.
You said that as we were leaving the theater. Like, I give that movie a hearty nope. And like everyone thought you meant like you didn't like it. How? I'll give it an 8. I liked it a lot.
I'd give it an 8.5 as well. The chemistry of the cast, Bill Skarsgård's performance as Pennywise, the loyalty to the book, and especially because the improvement over the miniseries can't be overstated.
I think this is a good example of a movie that deserves a remake. There's so many things they just like, we fucked up Spider-Man. 2 years later, we'll just try it again. Give it some time for people to like tell you what they thought was bad about it.
Average score.
Average score. Let's pick a higher note.
Average score.
Average score.
Average score.
Average score.
Average score.
Average score.
You start. You start.
Average score.
Average score.
Average score.
Oh no. Average score.
Average score.
No. Average score. Average score. Average score. Those are the 3 notes you can choose.
Average score.
It's the same note.
Average score.
Average score. Average score. Average score.
Average score.
Average score. I can't do.
Average score. Average score. Sing this note.
I will.
Prove it to me.
Average score.
No, this
Average
one.
score. It's not helping if you look at me.
Average score.
Average score.
Average score.
Fuck it.
It's a horror
Thanks
movie.
for watching Pleasantries, son of a bitch. Thank
And
you
you-
for watching this show that you don't watch.
You brought me back for this.
You can find us on Patreon. Please do. Thank you for stopping by. Oh, that's quite a group you got there. What are you doing later?
Let's try it one more time. Now that I'm not laughing.
Okay.
Give me the note.
This is your note. He'll go second. He goes second. So average score.
Average.
No. Average score.
Average score.
No average score. I don't care anymore.
We gotta write just once. That's all we need.
I don't think we did. What's the thing that I do? I know I salute, but what do I say? Oh, is you have a fantastic evening. That's what I forgot.
Okay. Average score. Let me do the.
What?
Average score.
Average score.
Average score. There we go. See? You're welcome.
No, that wasn't good. You have a fantastic evening. Salute the people at home. There's something in my eye.
Wow, are you serious? That was pretty good.